Love must pass through a fire to burn away the spells of childhood, the injuries of human rage. For the goal of the drive is to release itself, to move into shame, anxiety, fear, the energies. For behind the feeling of shame stands fear of contempt, the fear of a deeper level of the unconscious, the fear of abandonment. It is shame as acute self-awareness, self-consciousness, the shame that leaves deep emotional scars where thefts of humanity or dignity have occurred. It may be generational in stream as lack, humiliation, not good enough, abuse, family secrets, the ordinary fortressings of the Barbican manufactured self. Shame impels hiding, fury, anger that defends against the reduction of the image of the self. The steam as an inertia of pattern, different from real self-esteem. Shame remains a self-doubt long after the original event, the traumatic moment. Even if one was innocent and was not responsible for the event or moment. It is the fear of separation, that one will be perceived as less, or that the loved one that is needed will take their love away. Shame remains as self-doubt long after the original event, in the concealed, divided, separated, hidden, veiled, masked. It is in disgrace, humiliation, and embarrassments, the bite of shame, painful, disorienting, and chilling. A sense of rejection, feelings of being unwanted, compelling, wanting to be wanted. For what the therapist sees is not shame, the symptom, but shame, the shaper of symptoms. Shame is the master emotion in the construction of a personality of mediation. Shame is gaze aversion, desire for concealment, turning away, lowering the eyes, a restless moving of the eyes, image construction, to escape the painful gaze of others. Shame, the collapse of the body, including hunching of the head and squeezing of the shoulders together. Shame, to move the feeling or reactivity to a place where it will cease to be a stimulus for one's memory, to reduce the tensions of shame by denial, forgetting, laughter, to separate the self from the feeling, partitioning of structures, lights and shadows and darkness, denials, to prevent shame from reoccurring. I didn't want it anyway, the bypass of shame. To move the self away from the shame, to distance oneself from the humiliation, to intensify focus on another emotion and thereby defocus the shame, to avoid the experience of shame. It is worth or power in senses of not good enough, inadequacy, lack of value, self-esteem, inherent worth versus reward, punishment, expectancy, compliance. Surrendering eros, spirit, real, in a form of castration. For love as food of sustenance being valued, the realm of manipulativeness, power, control, seduction, wanting to be wanted, servitude and conflict reduction, squeezing the life, the vitality out of the real. Power manipulatists of the social, interpersonal, orbital sharings. To face in abreaction the decisive moment of a re-experience. To sense shame as a state of interruption where one's value is fundamentally questioned, where shame is the negation of desire, the vulnerability of the wounded spirit. Shame cries out for relief and healing, worthiness. The more I struggle with it, the more I become entangled and stuck in it. Uncle Remus in The Tar Baby. The rules of the shame-bound family: to be in control at all times, predictable, always be right, do the right thing, perfection. Blame someone else if predictable doesn't occur. Deny, inability to admit real feelings. Do not expect constancy or reliability in relationships. Do not resolve transactions or disagreements. Flee from conflicts as tensions or differences accumulate. Deep emotional blocks, inability or will to see, to be honest about family behaviors. Denials of behaviors. Thus the problem of recognizing the opportunity to act to change. In a moment, in a readiness, intention, in a will to come forward. Shame is resistance to self, self-consciousness, chronic low self-esteem, inferiority complex as overt shame, the drive for power as bypassing shame. Shame is hiding. For you study what you desire, what you fear, maybe fear and desire. And as Gandhi said, where there is fear, we lose the way of our spirit. For fear is like fire, it can cook for you, it can heat your house, it can burn your house to the ground. It is an edge of danger, where adrenaline flows and fight-flight arousals feed on impulses of identity. Fear is the blue flame of energy flowing through our existence. It is control and avoidance, limitation and denial, missed opportunities, and what might have been. Fear of loss of the person who cares for one, loss of love, a state of immature development psychologically, physically. Fear of the loss of a valued part of the body, a castration anxiety. Fear of disapproval by an internal self, a judging superego. Fear of the intensity of one's instincts. Fear of being overwhelmed by uncontrollable forces from within. Fear of masochistic surrender. Danger and hypervigilance alarms. Canary trauma states. Echoic timber and post-traumatic stress disorder alarms of expectancy recurrence. What is walled in? What is walled out? What is on the other side of the great river of voices? The fright effects, a response into an inertia, a reactivity to a concrete sudden threat of harm to one's being. Even if it is anxiety, the knowledge that the threat is present, yet one does not know what will happen, and therefore what is to be done about it. A threat to our being, a threat to our self-image. Yet there is a lack of an object of blame or focus, which makes the biological tendency of avoidance or escape as unavailable. We don't know what to avoid or how.